Remember, shortly after President Trump got elected, he called himself a stable genius. He might have said that during the campaign. And the left and the media kept going on and on and on about how unstable he is. He's out of control. He's mentally, physically unfit, to the point where Trump gave permission for the White House doctor, the same guy who was a White House doctor for Barack Obama, to go on TV and do what turned into be an hour-long press conference about President Trump's cognitive abilities and the fact that Trump requested a cognitive test that, to my knowledge, Joe Biden has not taken. Let's go back in time just a little bit, shall we?
Thank you. Dr. Jackson?
Yes.
Thank you. 2 questions for you. Number one, there have been some questions as part of your exam. I'm wondering if you talked to the president about this, about the president's mental fitness. He has pushed back on that, calling himself a stable genius. Can you assess the president's mental fitness for office?
Absolutely. So many of you may have picked up on the fact that we did do a cognitive assessment as part of the exam. And initially, I had no intention of including a cognitive assessment in this exam because, to be honest with you, per all the guidelines that are out there, it's not indicated at this time.
I didn't think Donald Trump needed to take a cognitive test because it just didn't seem to be indicated. I didn't see the point, but
a lot of the guidelines would suggest that you do cognitive screening questions, and that if you have a positive or concerning answer in the screening questions, that then you engage with a cognitive screening tool. So I had no intentions whatsoever of doing that, like I said, because I didn't feel it was clinically indicated. And part of the reason I didn't think it was clinically indicated is because I've spent almost every day in the president's presence since January 20, 2000, or last year when he got into office, and I've seen him every day.
I'm with the guy every day. He's fine. He's fit. He's mentally fit. He's physically fit. So I didn't see the point, but
1, 2, sometimes 3 times a day because of the location of my office. We have conversations about many things. Most don't revolve around medical issues at all, but I've got to know him pretty well. And I had absolutely no concerns about his cognitive ability or his neurological function. So,
but did he take a cognitive test? Was it indicated? And did the president want you to give it to him anyway?
I was not going to do a cognitive exam. I had no intention of doing one. The reason that we did the cognitive assessment is plain and simple because the president asked me to do it. He came to me and he said, is there something we can do, a test or some type of screen that we can do?
Now think about this. Trump is not a guy who's easily pushed around, is he? Yet because the media and the Democrats kept going on and on and on about how unfit he is, how unstable he is, how mentally unprepared for the job he is, they even wanted to invoke the 25th Amendment, remember, to remove him because of a lack of physical and mental fitness. And Trump goes, all right, tell you what, doctor, why don't you give me the cognitive exam? I'm happy to take that.
To assess my, my cognitive ability. And so I looked into it. And once again, and my initial question was that I didn't think it was indicated and I didn't think we should do it. After looking at some of the guidelines, there are a few guidelines out there that lean in the direction of potentially doing it. The Medicare guidelines and some of the NIH, National Institute of Aging, they've indicated that it might be a good thing to start doing for most patients in the future. With that in mind, I went through and I looked at a variety of the cognitive assessments that were available. Most of them were very simple, very short.
And doctor, what happened?
That's the goal, actually, for primary care providers in doing this, is to keep it simple, keep it short. We picked one of the ones that was a little bit more involved. It was longer. It was the more difficult one of all of them. It took significantly longer to complete, but the president did exceedingly well on it. So that was not driven at all by any clinical concerns I have. It was driven by the president's wishes, and he did well on it.
Now, as I mentioned, Joe Biden, to my knowledge, has not taken this cognitive exam. Refused to take it. And yesterday, I guess on the order of what's good for the goose is good for the gander, this Republican congressman asked Mayor Pete, the Secretary of Transportation, about Joe Biden's mental cognitive abilities. Watch this.
Could you please, and just in one word, let's have some fun with this. Could you please describe America to me in one single word? What would that be if you could describe America in one single word?
Well, for me, I guess home.
Home. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, just a few weeks ago, this is how President Biden described America in one word. Could you please tell me what that word means? It's this one right here. Could you even say the word?
Congressman, I'm not in the habit of trying to read transcriptions.
I bring this up to you, sir. I bring this up to you
on television.
because you yourself questioned Donald Trump's mental state of mind in September of 2019 when you stated to CNN, I quote, "If our presidency is not in good shape, then our country is not in good shape." And Mr. Secretary, I could not agree with you more. I'm going to repeat what your quote is. If our presidency is not in good shape, then our country is not in good shape.
And therefore, how about telling us whether or not you think Joe Biden's mental capacity is, to use your phrase, in good shape?
Inflation's at 9.1%. Gas prices are through the roof. Our adversaries are exploiting our weaknesses across the globe, and our southern border is non-existent. This administration puts the American people last. The left and the dishonest media, which in my humble opinion is the greatest threat to this country, the dishonest media, began questioning President Trump's mental state back in February of 2017, a month into his presidency. We now have President Biden in office for 18 months, and just recently, we now see the mainstream media questioning President Biden's mental state, and for good reason. Sadly, he shakes hands with ghosts and imaginary people. He falls off bicycles. Even at the White House Easter celebration, the Easter Bunny had to guide him back into his safe place. Cue cards that say, "sit here," or "end of speech," which he actually states, that is, if he stays awake. So my question for you is, sir, have you spoken with any other cabinet members about implementing the 25th Amendment on President Biden?
First of all, I'm glad to have a president who can ride a bicycle. And
That's your
I
question.
will look beyond the insulting nature of that question and make clear to you that the President of
Have
the United
you
States...
spoken to any other cabinet members about implementing the 25th Amendment on President Biden?
Of course not.
Please allow the
We ought to
witness
know
answer.
Have you
that the
emailed,
President of
this
the
is my
United
time,
States-
have you emailed any members
President of
with
the
the
United
executive
States.
branch about the president's health or
President
cognitive
of the
decline,
United States
including
is
text
as
messages
vigorous a
from your
colleague
private
or
phone?
boss as I have ever had the
figured
pleasure
this.
of working with.
What about political appointees at USDOT? Have you spoken about
Gentleman's
this issue
time
with
has
them?
expired.
I couldn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
Well,
You yield me 1 minute, sir?
absolutely not. If you had yielded the secretary some time to actually answer the ridiculous question, you might have actually gotten something. We will now.
Well, that was different. But let me tell you something. Biden's mental abilities aside, the problem with the administration is Biden's policies. All this spending. Again, Larry Summers, the former Democrat Secretary of Treasury, warned against it, said it would be inflationary. Steve Ratner, one of Obama's top economic advisors, warned that this spending was going to be inflationary. He has reversed Donald Trump's policies on the border, and now we have over 2,000 illegal aliens attempting to come to this country every single day. And since Biden has been in office about 18 months, there's an estimated 1.5 million to 2 million illegal aliens inside our interior. How can a country continue like this? And there's no sign of it changing. Inflation higher than it's been in 41 years. The average family in America is now spending $500 more on the same goods and services that the family spent a year ago. $500 a month more. Gas prices year to year up about 30-40%. He has had a war on oil and gas. We've gone from being energy independent to energy dependent. And he goes to Saudi Arabia begging the Saudis to pump more oil. This is insane. Absolutely insane.